and welcome to today's program as the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston hosts a conversation with Regina Mayor, Council's global leader of influence. I'm Sandia Bayou, Director of Development at the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. It's our hope that you and your families are doing healthy and staying healthy and doing well. Now, more than ever, it is important to stay informed about what is happening, not only in our city, but around the world. Our council brings those foreign affairs experts right into your home. And Regina is one of them. Regina, welcome.
Thank you, Sandia. It's great to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure and honor to host you today. We wanted to check in and see how you are doing, how your family is doing, and how the team of KPMG is currently doing.
Well, thank you for asking. We're doing quite well, the team of KPMG globally, right? So we have offices all over the world, including where things started in China. And we've had the opportunity to learn from our colleagues in China and Italy as things progressed in the US. And we continue to share those lessons and experiences. But overall, I think we're doing really well. We're lucky, we're blessed that we can work from home. You know, there's a lot of folks out there that cannot. And I think we recognize and embrace those blessings. For me personally, I have two kids. One was a junior in college in Manhattan, and I was able to get her home in mid-March. I was lucky enough to sort of see things starting to happen in New York City and pulled the mom card on her and insisted that she come home right now. So she came home with her roommate, and so I've had two 20-somethings in the house, and then I have a son who's 11 and is in the 5th grade, so he graduated from elementary school in an online format. It was really a struggle for him, you know, to go from having the discipline and having a teacher look over what he's doing to being self-directed and working in front of a computer. So I would say the first few weeks were tough for both of us because I'm not the most patient person, but we survived. And to have all of us home together, it's been an absolute blessing. You know, we've had family game nights. I've introduced them to old school games like Clue. My daughter is completely obsessed with it now. We've been playing Rock Band. I'm the singer, and they play bass, guitar, and drums. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And these are some of the silver linings from what has been obviously a very tragic series of events. So counting my blessings, staying safe, staying well, and looking forward to the future.
Yeah, I completely can relate with the 90-year-old at home as well. And we're so glad that we're making the best that we can in a given environment, and mainly that all of us are healthy and the team is and the family. So very glad to hear that.
Exactly.
Regina, you have dedicated so much of your career to the improvement of the community and to women leadership. If you would allow me at least to highlight some of those points for our viewers, I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it.
Sure.
Currently, you are KPMG's global and US head of energy and natural resources. Mm-hmm. You are viewed as an expert on energy trends and oil prices, and very frequently appear on major TV news networks such as Bloomberg, CNBC, Fox Business, and in top-tier business press, including Reuters, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal. You're also a strong voice for women and inclusion. You have been recognized for your advocacy work. You've been inducted into the Greater Houston Women's Hall of Fame and named oil and gas investors as of one of the top 25 most influential women in energy. You have been named as one of Houston's 50 most influential women here in Houston as well, and by the Houston Business Journal as Who is Who in Energy and Women Who in Business. You were featured in cover stories both in Shale Magazine and in Oil and Gas Financial Journal. You are the host of KPMG's annual Global Energy Conference and are a very sought after speaker and participant for major industry forums, such as PRICAP's Energy Game Change, Gas Tech, Platts LNG Conference, the World Energy Conference, and many others. Regina, you also serve on the boards of Cornell Energy Institute and the Petroleum Club of Houston. You were officer in the U.S. Army Reserve, which I found very interesting, interned at the Pentagon as part of the Supreme Headquarters Allied Forces Europe liaison office. geez, and this is just a highlight. This is not even all that you do.
Sandhya.
You do so much and you do it so well.
Oh,
I gotta ask, what are the best practices? And maybe you could share with some of our current leaders and future global leaders that are coming up. How do you select what to participate in? And of course, selection is one, but how do you find time to attend to all those obligations?
Well, one of the things that I learned early on is the importance of what I call ruthless prioritization. So, it's the ability to say no, but also the ability to say yes, and be very selective about where I choose to spend my time. Because there are so many demands. And as I indicated, I have 2 children and they're a decade apart, and they are the lights of my life, and they are the most important people in the world to me, and I always wanted to be there for them. Yeah. And so I learned early on about, not having to be the one that shows up carrying a suitcase, flying at the last minute to some far-flung point on the earth, and building a team around me that can be emissaries and speak on my behalf or speak on KPMG's behalf, and not make it all about me. So I think that's the 2 key things that I learned is ruthless prioritization. Even 20 years ago, when I was early in my career, I learned the value of saying no. And I think that's a really hard thing for women or anyone to understand, that you actually can say no and you can be selective about where you choose to spend your time, because it's about the impact that you make ultimately. And if you're not making an impact, it doesn't really matter how you're spending your time. So I always looked for those things that would give the greatest impact, maximize my time, enable me to stay with my children, and build the right team around me such that we could still deliver against all of the objectives that needed to be met.
Well, that's really well said, and I very much salute you. I said again, have the power of saying no.
Right.
We are tempted and we so want to be involved, and we feel like we should be involved.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
As you just mentioned, you bring over 20 years of experience in delivering Landscale business and technology changes, large scale business and technology changes to major energy companies around the world. Just curious, what piqued your interest in energy sector? Was it a strategic plan perhaps that you had, or was there an event or person that influenced your path?
So, best laid plans. I wanted to be an actress on Broadway, and I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I went to school in upstate New York at Cornell University. You grew up on an island, you think everything is only an hour away, right? You drive on a map and you fall into the ocean. So I thought Cornell was this close to New York City, and I would be in New York City every weekend or one weekend a month. I think I went twice in 4 years.
Yeah.
So, the vastness of the continental United States was lost on a young person from Hawaii. And I had an Army ROTC scholarship because my parents couldn't afford to send me to Cornell, and the ROTC scholarship paid for everything. So energy wasn't in my plans at all. I then went to Harvard University and got a master's degree in public policy. I was very passionate about the military, wanted to make a difference. I really enjoyed my time in the Army. I thought I would go work for the government. But I got hired by Pricewaterhouse straight out of Harvard and became a government consultant. And early on, I met a guy, my first ex-husband, who was in the oil patch and convinced me to move to Houston. And I've never looked back. So I moved to Houston in 1993. My first energy client was Enron, when it was a pipeline company and had real assets. Yeah. My second energy company was Ashland Petroleum Company, worked in a refinery in Catlettsburg, Kentucky, and I literally fell in love with the industry. The other beauty of it is it's centered in Houston. It enabled me to stay with my children and still have a wonderful career. So I did travel, but it wasn't the relentless every single week that a lot of consultants have to endure. And there were so many more opportunities to serve tremendous companies that are based locally in Houston. And I've had a wonderful career, and I'm an incredibly passionate spokesperson for the industry now. And I'm incredibly delighted that, I found my way into it, even though I never thought of it when I was growing up in Hawaii.
Oh, it's the opportunities that life gives us. So glad that you took it and brought you here. Now it's our pleasure to getting to know you. You mentioned KPMG a few times, and we know you are affiliated with KPMG. Is there anything especially energy focused maybe you would like our viewers to know that I perhaps haven't recognized yet?
Well, KPMG is a terrific company. I've been with the firm for over 14 years now, and I've been blessed to have these tremendous experiences to lead our global energy business. And I love that, in a pre-COVID world, I was, a lot of different places. The last place I went before the pandemic started and the shutdown happened was Paris. And then before that, I was in Western Australia, I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, I was in Mumbai and Bangalore. I mean, it was just a wonderful group of folks, and I get to represent them all over the world. And we have an amazing team, very, very strong energy professionals that provide audit, tax, and consulting services across the entire energy value chain. So I represent oil and gas, power and utilities, chemicals, mining, and renewables. So it's a great role. I think it's one of the best roles in the firm, and I'm very grateful to be able to represent our team.
And definitely shows you. It shows that you like what you do and you're proud of what you do. So that's wonderful. And again, you just mentioned travel, and I mentioned some highlights of what you commit yourself during work hours and after. How do you find balance, perhaps, in your daily, weekly routines? Again, some lessons learned. We know about saying no. I definitely learned that one today. Anything else that you can, share with our current leaders and again, future leaders that they, can learn from you?
I think it's really important to take care of yourself, right? So take time for yourself, whatever it is that rejuvenates you. For me, it's exercise. So just getting on my treadmill and walking uphill while excuse me, binge watching some reality TV program to clear my head from the day. It's hard when you come home after a long day at work and your kids are clamoring for you. I always would say to my children, Mommy will be a better mommy if you just give me 45 minutes. And to have my workout gear, even at early in my career, in my home, so I didn't have to travel to a gym, and just taking that 30, 45 minutes for myself. Again, not strenuous exercise, but enough to clear my head. I think that has been incredibly helpful. And in addition, I'm actually quite an introvert, so engaging with clients and all the things that I need to do publicly takes a lot out of me. So sometimes on the weekends, I'll sleep in and I'll read a book. And I've really enjoyed during this pandemic to hone my golf game. So, whatever it is that inspires you or rejuvenates you, just make sure that you take 30, 45 minutes, an hour, at least once a day, just for you time. And I think that's incredibly important to be an effective executive and an effective parent.
Wonderful. So you learn something every day. So I completely agree with you. You know that education is a very large and important mission of what our council does. I say we educate students from as young as they will come. From my 9-year-old comes to volunteer, so he's already being exposed to international affairs. So we'll continue that through high school students. We, of course, we're getting engaged with our university students and any member and anybody who's interested in foreign affairs. So education, again, is what we do. And I had reached out to some of the students that are part of our student world affairs councils. Those are kind of chapters in Houston in various high schools. With an ask to submit some questions that I could turn around and submit to you for your.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go. Some of these are coming from high school students. If you
Excellent.
could provide your young self with advice, what would it be?
So I've thought about this question. Thank you for asking it. I wish I could go back in time and tell my young self to just relax, that it's really not that important, right? That like the relationships that you have, the things that you'll achieve, they will come. And if you're competent and confident and you exude that competence and confidence in everything that you are and everything that you do, rewards will come. I think I was perhaps my young self a little too aggressive, a little too, overly zealous in terms of wanting to advance in my career. And maybe I wasn't as kind as I should have been to people that I met along the way. So I really wish I could have told myself to just relax, and that you'll wake up 3 decades from now and have a wonderful life and a wonderful family, and have great things that come to you. And I was interested in international affairs, right? That's why I went to Harvard and got a master's degree in public policy. One of my majors at Cornell was government. So I think it's terrific that you're engaging young people in foreign affairs, because that is how the world works. And one of the things I loved about the energy industry is it's incredibly global, incredibly international, and very politically charged. So I felt like I was using my education in everything that I was doing around the energy business.
Absolutely. As we say, there's no local without global, and no global without local. It's so connected. And as the crisis just showed us, right, that we are so tied in this current setting in the world. So
we are.
Yeah, you mentioned again your global exposure to foreigners, as in visiting them in their home countries, and at the same time welcoming them here in US. So question is, what are your 2 or 3 simplest guidelines for perhaps interacting, getting to know someone from another country?
Well, it's the same for getting to know somebody from our country as well. And I think it's really important to listen. The Lord gave us 2 of these and only 1 of these, and we should use them in that proportion. So it's sometimes I think if people come from other cultures, you might believe that you don't have as many things in common, but I've found that that's not at all the case, that there's so many things that connect us as humans, and regardless of what religious background they might have, what part of the world they might come from, what language they might speak as their primary language, there are all kinds of things that connect us as humans. So working to get to know them as people and as individuals, doing a lot of listening, and then asking them questions about their culture, right? So I love observing these when I go to these different countries, and then I just ask very basic questions about, what's it like to be at home, or why are folks doing that, or what does the significance of that picture mean, or, what's it like to get to work, or, what's your family situation like? And you learn so much. The world is so rich with intelligent, warm, loving human beings, and being able to connect with them as people is key.
Wonderful. Again, you mentioned that you had a chance to be in various parts of the world. And is there a favorite country or region of the world? And if so, why?
I hate to, there are wonderful things about every place that I have been. Absolutely. The places that I love the most are the ones that have the most natural beauty. I think that comes from growing up in Hawaii and being surrounded by the deepest, bluest Pacific Ocean, and with volcanic mountainsides. So I really value the pristine nature. When I was in Western Australia, stunningly beautiful landscape, and one of the cleanest ecosystems that exists on the planet. I love Europe, and Rome and Italy in particular. Sicily was absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I thought the Middle East was stunningly beautiful with what the UAE's done with their landscape and how they've been able to develop it. Japan, I saw the cherry blossoms. Breathtaking. So those are probably some of the things that touch me the most, is when I see these beautiful natural landscapes and get to enjoy just experiencing something completely different.
Wonderful. I think you listed many people's bucket list items there. It is. So there's this beauty everywhere, beauty in each person, beauty in each region, in each country. You just have to be patient and watch for it or see it.
My other tip is I always make time to go visit something when I'm there, because I never know. So I carve out the time. So when I was in India for the first time, I took a side trip to the Taj Mahal. Breathtaking. When I was in Tokyo, I took a side trip to make sure I experienced the full cherry blossoms, and I was there at the height of that season. When I was in Rio, I took a trip to see the Jesus statue on the top of the mountain. I mean, it's incredible. And sometimes when we're traveling for business, you get really tired and you want to compact everything into a short time period, and you stay in your hotel and you work too late. I think that's been key to my success too, is just taking the time to embrace and enjoy the places that I'm blessed to be able to visit for work.
Absolutely. And I think it provides different understanding of you as an individual, of meeting citizens of the given country, right? Next to see them,
Right.
you understand their beauty or things that they have that perhaps you wouldn't seen otherwise. So
Exactly.
That's great advice, actually, that we can put forward, of course, for our young leaders. And I keep talking about our students and upcoming leadership as well. Any other thoughts, suggestions for our next generation?
I would just say keep it up. I mean, the world needs the next generation. You know, things are a little fraught and anxious and scary right now. And I look at my children and I look at the other students like yourselves and the folks that you're nurturing and developing. Our future is reliant on you. And I'm so excited about what the next generations are going to be able to do for our country, for our planet, for global relationships, for international affairs. So keep at it, and we're counting on you to make us all better.
Wonderful. And I want to say thank you for joining us today. So glad to see that you are doing well. Congratulations on your multiple accomplishments. And it's our humble honor to recognize you as a global leader of influence and the global scholar that you are. So again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to recognizing you further.
Thank you. This award is actually a really important honor for me, given where I studied and what I was focused on. So I'm humbled and surprised and blessed. So thank you for the recognition.
And we'll have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.